The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Good morning, everybody, and it is Wednesday, September 3rd, and today is Bowling League Day. Today, you guys.
People still do that?
You don't think bowling's an amazing sport, Dale?
I love bowling.
Yeah?
I also am known to walk around the pool dressed like the dude in a giant bathrobe, though, so that's probably not...
That's fair.
In a bathrobe with the swimsuit.
That's fair. You got to hit the pop out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm down with bowling.
All right. Fair enough. Why isn't that working? Weird. Well, it's also National Welsh Rarebit Day today. Or wait, National Welsh Rarebit Day. I know, Dale. Trust me.
Dale, between a rare bit and a rabbit, there's just a little difference.
I was hoping that you would know exactly what this was, Dale.
I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Okay, it's a dish. Rarebit Day. Okay. Mm-hmm. National Welsh Rarebit Day whips up a tasty and satisfying snack. What is rarebit? These cheesy toast was originally called rabbit in a tongue-in-cheek way in the Welsh language because there is no rabbit in the meal. And so it's like a fancy Cheez-It. You ever gone to like a high-end hotel and they have like this like thin cheesy bread, but it's almost like a very super thin pizza crust but with cheese on top? That's basically what it is. That's basically what it is, Dale.
Sounds like there was some alcohol involved here.
I mean, I'm just impressed that they have a national day for this.
Yeah,
I'm pretty impressed with that. But very, 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 very interesting. Well, and on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And is Jenny Beth with us yet? Is she not here? She's not here yet, huh?
I don't see her yet.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna have to read her story, I guess, for her then. Interesting that she is late today. Well, you guys, first story of the day. A Thailand tycoon who championed cannabis laws takes the lead in the race for the prime minister. That's right. I'm going to totally murder this name, so please don't hold it against me, you guys. And Tuin Rakagul gets main opposition party's conditional backing from the interim government. That's right. The tycoon turned politician Antun Shivarakarukul appears to have taken the lead in a chaotic race to become Thailand's next prime minister after days of tense negotiations. Antun, who is leader of the conservative Bamjati Party and perhaps best known for his championing medical cannabis legislation, has the backing of MPs from the main opposition People's Party to form an interim government, provided he signs an agreement laid out by its leaders. The People's Party said its lawmakers would supply the votes needed for Antun to become prime minister, as long as he agrees to dissolve parliament within 4 weeks and commits to changing Thailand's constitution, possibly through holding a referendum, a step the People's Party hopes will make the country's system more democratic, and the People's Party will not join his government. Antun said on Wednesday that he was committed to the conditions laid out by the People's Party and that he believed he had enough support to become prime minister. Thailand's politics was thrown into chaos last week when the Constitutional Court removed Pentagarn Swarmarada from her position as prime minister, saying she had violated ethical rules during her handling of a broader dispute, and Pentagarn, the daughter of the billionaire former leader of Tashkent Shinawatra, had been in office for only a year. Thailand's Constitutional Court has frequently intervened in politics, dissolving popular parties and banning leaders. And separately on Wednesday, Pheu Thai, the party of the embattled Shinawatras, told local media that it had submitted a request to the king for parliament to be dissolved, paving the way for elections. However, it was unclear whether lawmakers in the caretaker government had the authority to do so, or how quickly this could happen. A vote for a new prime minister could be held in parliament as early as Friday, and the People's Party has emerged as kingmaker in the recent negotiations, and Boom Jai Thai and the Pheu Thai Party had raced to secure its support. The People's Party had played a deciding role in which party can form a government because it has the largest number of seats in parliament, 143, having won the most votes in the last election in 2023. And it cannot attempt to lead a government itself because its prime ministerial candidate was banned from politics in a court ruling last year. Oh, man. The court also dissolved the party's previous iteration, known as Move Forward, over its promise to reform the country's strict lèse-majesty law, under which criticism of the monarchy can lead up to 15 years in prison. The People's Party has little love for either Bam Jai Thai, a conservative party that does not share its pro-reform ideals, or Pheu Thai, which was perceived as blocking it from taking power in the past. The People's Party leader, Nat Ham Phong Tong Ruguakwatwat, said both of these parties have track records, as everyone knows, of not exercising their power in the interests of the people and the country's benefit. He added that his party had prioritized finding a way to bring about a new election and changes to the Constitution, and says, "I think everyone can see that this decision is not for our own popularity, but it's in the interest of finding a solution for the country," he said. Antun, a royalist conservative whose family is a major shareholder in one of Thailand's biggest construction companies, served as a minister of public health during the pandemic until his party was in a coalition government with Pheu Thai, though it withdrew from the government during the crisis that erupted in Pentagarn's handling of the border dispute with Cambodia. And Wednesday's announcement could prove a major blow to Tashkent, who has dominated Thai politics for decades, but whose influence and popularity is now declining, you guys. Interesting thing going on in Thailand. This could be a big change for the medical scene in Thailand. And I see that Jenny Beth has now joined us. And welcome, Jenny Beth. How are you this morning?
Well, I mean, I'm glad that we're running hella on time today. I also am sorry that I was a little late, but it was worth it to hear you read those names.
I'm glad. I figured I'm glad you got some enjoyment out of that.
It's not fun when the rabbit's got the gun.
Hey.
No, super interesting. And their prime minister's removal, I used that the time that I was late to do a little more digging. Do you know why she's getting removed?
It said that the Supreme Court removed her out there. There was a court ruling that moved her for unethical behavior.
I'm gonna tell you what she did.
Oh man, y'all spill the beans, Jenny Beth, please.
It's over a phone call with Cambodia's Senate President Hun Sen, which escalated their border tensions. So essentially, she said something that pissed him off, and it seems like now
sounds like they're having a similar problem like what we're having in the U.S.
I don't know, bud, but whatever she said, she pissed somebody off. So to the point where she might have overtalked her ass or her prime minister position. But yeah, I guess the rival factions have intensified. So it seems like they're gonna be fighting. It seems like a little more than what we're dealing with in our border.
Interesting.
A bit, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they want to shoot each other, not send some folks back.
Well, they don't have a long history of having a working government either.
That's true.
They're corrupt as hell. I think that's really at the heart of it. When someone says, gee, if you do what we want, we'll make sure you get elected or bring the voters to you. It's like, hang on for a second. This doesn't sound like popular sovereignty to me. It sounds pretty corrupt.
Mm-hmm. And you know what
I call it building consensus, Dale.
You know what I would say? Probably a lot more like us, Jason, if we're looking at their politics and what's going on right now.
What's that?
The fact that their government's got a lot more to deal with than cannabis right now. So I don't know if this move is going to be an immediate relief for Thailand's medical program or whatever they have going on in their industry. I think it's probably going to be to stop an impending war.
Well, this is the thing, Jenny. I feel you on that, but this guy who they're saying that they're going to make the prime minister, he was one of the leaders in the medical movement over there, and so I think
because he's a business tycoon and he wanted to make the money, but right now he needs to reorganize an entire government structure, and I don't know that cannabis is going to be at the forefront of that.
Well, then that could be good because then that would mean that there wouldn't be a lot of enforcement on the current operators out there.
That's revenue generation. And what do wars take?
They take money. That's right.
Damn.
Wars are not cheap. That's for sure.
No.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys say, Chris? You ever been to Thailand?
I have not. I've had a couple friends that went over there and came back, totally spiritual, wearing the beads and telling me that they're better than me because they just lived in Thailand for a year.
That's amazing to me that people think like that. Like go to a country that's like way more expensive than America and do that. Don't go to a country where $1 is basically $100 out there.
Yeah, I love the excuse that I'm better than you because I dissolved my ego while I was on a retreat in Thailand. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's still ego, but what do I know?
Yeah, if they want to dissolve their ego, I'll send them over to Africa and they could definitely dissolve their ego out there.
I love the people that are so woke, they're floating above the ground by 3 inches.
Man.
I've always said let the Thai people have their cannabis industry, though. If I go somewhere like Thailand, I want local cannabis. I don't want to go to a cookie store. I think we've talked about this in previous episodes. And just doing some quick research. This guy being the front runner for the new prime minister, it looks like he's more backing medical cannabis, and he's really there to, like Jenny said, he's a businessman. He's kind of calming the woes of people that have already flooded a bunch of investment money into Thailand's medical scene. I know they've rolled back recreational quite a bit, and but it doesn't seem like it's going to be a main priority. But whoever's got a ton of money already in Thailand, I think they're going to feel a little bit safer with this guy. But it's hard to tell.
Interesting. What were you going to say, Shaun? Shaun, you with us?
Yeah, I am.
No, there she is.
I can't even remember.
Oh, okay.
All good. I did get that guy's the name pronunciation if you want to hear it.
How do you actually pronounce his name?
Anutin Chan Miracle.
Anutin Chan Virakul.
Yeah, I was never going to get that right.
No, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I love that she had a soundbite do it for her.
Yeah.
If I was going to just add one caution, it would be anytime I hear a government talking about medical cannabis, like it's the solution, I realize that there's a lot of like adult use it feels like a patsy a little bit. Like they do that in Texas. They're like, we support freedom. We gave you medical cannabis, and then everything else off the table. And we should be mindful.
It's always a patsy. Shut up.
But I agree with Jenny Beth. Conflict issues and war, revolutions, those are kind of pressing issues.
Fair enough. Well, time will tell, and we will definitely, if there's any updates on this story, we'll make sure to follow it along for you guys as well. And on that, we're going to go into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
He's done a lot of work.
And we're back, you guys. We're back.
Coming up next,
he did a lot of work, huh?
Big words. Not so well, but he did his best. The highest Republican and the high at 9 head honcho, Jason Beck.
Oh, thank you very much, Jenny Beth. Oh, why is it say weird? My clap button's not working. It gave me a little warning arrow. We're gonna have to figure out.
Because they heard how you pronounced all those words in the last story. They're like, we'll hold off till the end.
Man, what's going on?
There's a shot for the clap.
Oh, hold on.
Just so you're aware.
Weird. The Stream Deck is not working, you guys. It's weird, but nonetheless.
Are you having issues with your deck again this morning?
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. Oh, well. Well, I have some good news for you guys. I have some great news because the 10th Circuit Court rules that a federal gun ban for marijuana users is unconstitutional, Dale. That's right. A 3-judge panel for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit has struck down the federal law barring marijuana users from owning firearms, finding it unconstitutional under the Second Amendment. Thank God. The case stems from the 2022 arrest of Jared Harrison in Lawton, Oklahoma. Police pulled Harrison over for running a red light and claimed to smell marijuana and searched his vehicle. They found a revolver, marijuana residue, joints, and THC gummies. Harrison, who worked at a dispensary but did not have a medical marijuana card, was charged with being an unlawful user in possession of a firearm. And Harrison challenged the charge, arguing that the prohibition violates his constitutional right to bear arms. A lower court agreed, and the federal government appealed. And at the 10th Circuit, the judges used the Supreme Court's Bruin framework to test the law's constitutionality. The government argued Harrison was not law-abiding and therefore not part of the people protected by the Second Amendment. The panel rejected that reasoning, stating the constitutional rights cannot be stripped from citizens simply for violating other laws. Thank goodness we have some good judges out there. The judges also noted the government failed to provide historical analogs showing that marijuana use justifies permanent disarmament. And while the Supreme Court's Rami decision allowed disarming people deemed dangerous, the panel found that marijuana use alone does not prove someone is a threat. The court upheld the dismissal of the case, leaving the federal ban unenforceable within its jurisdiction for now, and the Justice Department can still seek an in-bank review appeal to the Supreme Court or let the ruling stand, you guys. Well, this is a great news, and pow, pow, pow. I can't wait for you guys to hear me now. What do y'all got to say about this? Shoot 'em up, bang, bang.
The courts are moving steadily towards just getting rid of these per se exemptions from the Second Amendment for using illegal drugs. I mean, it's continuing. I don't see the Supreme Court, reversing this trend.
Yep.
And the Second Amendment's fairly clear, and historically, there's no historical precedent for doing what they started doing after 1969 with the first Gun Control Act, the federal one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to get shut down here. I'm not sure what they're going to try to do next.
I mean, I don't. We've had like 2 or 3 favorable rulings come out of these district courts. Dale, we're on a roll right now.
Well, the court has clearly made a pendulum swing on the conservative side here. I mean, Stevie Wonder can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have advanced gun restrictions to the point where when you read what the Second Amendment says, it's hard to square it.
Mm-hmm.
With what some of these decisions, it just says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Mm-hmm.
Seems fairly clear. And just to do a blanket prohibition, I think is unconstitutional. If somebody is adjudicated to be a threat, I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
That's not a blanket, just because you do one particular thing, lose your gun rights. No, if you're a threat, go in and have a hearing, make sure you prove it up, take their gun rights away.
Mm-hmm.
Rest of this is problematic. And it's the argument that I have for people who don't like gun laws is that there's a mechanism to change them.
Mm-hmm.
Called amending the Constitution. And if you don't want to do that, then at some point you're just whining because you're bringing forth a problem without a solution.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Great point, Dale. Great point. I'm with you. Oh, go ahead, Shaun.
It is conservative as far as constitutionality, but in some of these more conservative states, we're seeing Republicans get behind this because they're trying to control who has access to what all the way through. So agree entirely. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. It's the Second Amendment. That's number 2. 1, 2.
Look.
And I'm so glad that this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And on the same note, we still need to figure out a better solution because it just blows my mind that they want to. Who is the rule going to apply to?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think the people who are gonna? And I know because I hear Senator Perry say shit like this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because that person at the shootout, those active shooters, all high on marijuana.
That's a really good impression right there.
I've been on really and yes, I am Leah. I am floating in the nether right now.
That was really good.
But thank you. But they blame these. I can't imagine Senator Perry would be for taking away your gun rights entirely, though. So it's a little bit like, who are you enforcing on? Because I'm telling you, the bad guy is going to have the drugs and the guns. So what is all of this exactly? Why are we having this conversation?
Well, you know, one of my questions, Dale, is I find it interesting how the Supreme Court ruled on this, saying that because you are guilty of a crime, it doesn't mean that you get your rights stripped away from you. And I wonder if those types of rulings are going to have other types of implications on other situations for individuals who have had their rights stripped away in regards with like people that get convicted of a crime and then lose the right to vote in their state. Wouldn't that?
I
you with me, Chris?
I was just going to say the right to vote for felons.
Yeah.
If that can change that precedent, that's huge.
Yeah, I think these types of rulings would. Go ahead, Dale, please.
Well, what the court has mandated is that you bring forth historical evidence that they've done this in the past, because clearly the Supreme Court wants a reset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how far back they want to go with respect to some of the laws, but I would say they want to go back to before the New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's got a lot of people's panties in a knot about that, but Constitution is set up to do certain things, and we've certainly gone a long ways away from the straight-face argument of how it was set up to be able to function.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, in the 1800s, when you walked out of prison, they handed you back your guns.
Yeah.
Because they recognize you can't take away somebody's guns unless you have a specific finding that they're a threat to society, an immediate threat.
Yep.
And another big problem we don't really have an answer for, starting back in the 60s, here in California with Reagan, he basically closed all the insane asylums and mental hospitals.
That was Reagan's biggest mistake.
They were sent out in the streets, and now we have all this empathy for people who are, food owl crazy, but we don't know what to do with them. We don't want to take their rights away. But the people who have been out shooting up schools, these people are not sane. There's something clearly fucking wrong with them.
Yep.
The question is, how do we pick up on how crazy they are so we can go in, take their guns away? I don't have an answer for that because we're so concerned about taking away people's rights. And when you stand at the schoolhouse going, how many have you got dead today? Whose rights are superior here? I don't know. We just don't have a good answer for this right now.
Let's see where to throw in a super chat who says, pot makes people bitchy and unpredictable. Keep guns away from stoners. And see where we appreciate the super chat. We all know that you're trolling, and that was super cute, but that's definitely, yeah.
That highlights kind of this sensationalism back to, this reefer madness argument that it's cannabis, and it appeals to kind of that suburban Karen of of trying to influence those people to change policy of like cannabis users. Now we have medical cannabis. Should we allow them to have guns? But if we're going to treat cannabis as medicine, what about all, like you mentioned, the school shooters that are on pharmaceutical psychotropics, SSRIs?
Yeah, SSRIs. Yep.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
No,
we always go back to cannabis.
Well, that's because that's the cause, and you know what I mean. And another part of it is a lot of these school shooters are all transgenders that are very unhappy with themselves and whatnot. And that's another part of the whole scenario that people want to put in, and you know what I mean, into the whole thing too. What,
Jason? I think there's only one. Maybe trans.
No, there's not. There's way more than that.
We have active shooters.
I have a list of about 10.
Okay, but predominantly it's not trans people creating active shooter scenarios. Let's be responsible.
For school shootings, it is
mentally ill people, and some of those mentally ill people fall into the category of transgender or gender confusion.
Here's the deal. I also don't like doing that with mentally ill because yes, there are mental health issues. We have a widespread litany of them in the United States, especially since the pandemic. And we can do better. We're having a mental health crisis because we don't have enough physicians or therapists to see people. And by the way, they can't get access to it either because insurance either won't cover it or the providers aren't taking insurance because insurance fucks them over every time. So we can blame it on that. But also there are so many of us with PTSD and other issues, and we don't go light up the place.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we have a thing called common sense, Shaun.
We got to have some personal agency and responsibility and stop saying, oh, well, it's mental health in one case and then it's the evil minority people in another. Like, no.
We should just make insane asylums great again, Shaun.
No, we need to do better. And I would never say such a.
I don't know. I think we probably should.
Insane asylum is not the right mindset.
I think it is.
We gotta go.
Straight jackets for everybody.
They would commit women who just disagreed with their husbands and lobotomize them. So I think
you're so you're so over the top sometimes, Shaun.
I would have been committed if I was there back in the day. Nobody wants to hear what I had to say.
Oh man,
yeah, we've had those witch hunts in history.
Yeah. That's all super cute. But
we're just making the argument for all or nothing, right? If we're talking about cannabis as medicine and you're going to take someone else's constitutional rights away because of a medicine, then take anyone who's prescribed, Xanax or Percocet or any mood altering medical drug away, take their guns away too, or don't. Everyone should have the same rights. If cannabis is a medicine, then treat it as like all other medicines as far as constitutional rights go.
I do think that if you're going to take SSRIs, that you should give up your gun rights. I do feel pretty strongly about that part.
No, there's some like SSRIs. We can't do it.
I'm just saying. I feel it affects your psychological. You're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
No, because some people take their SSRIs and they're totally okay. And some people have an adverse reaction. It's not the right medicine for them. I'm not going to demonize any of it. I do believe abuse is bad. Abuse of it can lead to psychotic symptoms. I don't think SSRI should be the first solution, especially when psilocin shows so much promise and is easily grown.
The common side effects of a lot of these is like memory loss, you know, decision making. There's all these warnings there.
Yep.
My brother's been on and off SSRIs for a decade now, and he asked me about stuff that happened 3-4 years ago that he has zero memory of. So do you want someone like that to
Nope.
you know, potentially, you know, have a life-changing device in their hand?
Exactly. Seaward threw in another super chat. It says people on Xanax are chill. You guys have this whole situation. You're so trolling today, Seaward. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Yeah, you guys are super cute. All I got to say about this, because I think this is a phenomenal story. I'm really excited about this court's decision, and you know this court has jurisdiction over Oklahoma, and Oklahoma has the best gun laws in regards with cannabis of any state, hands down, bar none. Period. And I just got to say, weed for the people on that one.
Yep. You can roll around Oklahoma with a transport license, legally carrying cannabis to a dispensary and be armed to the grit.
Yep.
You should be armed to the grit if you're traveling with it. Are you serious?
They want you to mark your vehicle so everyone knows, big red flag, I've got tons of weed in my car. It's so
I would just paint on my transport vehicle FAFO, and maybe even make it a personalized license plate, and however many vehicles I have would be FAFO number 1, FAFO number 2, and FAFO number 3, and so on and so forth. That's what I would do. That's what I would do.
It's another example of how they make rules and that where they're trying to stop something and all they do is bolster it. Like they want you to mark the vehicles so everybody can see. Now we're increasing our odds of getting robbed or banning the guns, but the bad guys aren't going to have. The bad guys will still have them. Like, it's making me glitch out. I'm going to shut the fuck up.
It's going to be all right, Shaun. And that's why I'm going to label my transport van FAFO, because you know what I'm saying. You will know ultimately at one point in time. But nonetheless, we're going to keep this train rolling, and we're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet, nasty, to make your breath stink and your teeth yellow, but he is honest and he's unconcerned with public opinions, your opinion, and anyone else's opinion that wants to hop into the mix too. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right. It is your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. Your favorite Tio Loco and Jenny Beth, your favorite full of shiticus.
Yeah.
Here we are again. This morning's story comes out of MJ Biz Daily by Chris Roberts yesterday. And it's about Glass House. And the headline is, did California's biggest marijuana cultivator fool state regulators? Oh, damn you. El Kazan. For those who remember, ICE rolled in on Glass House and took away 300 plus people that were supposedly undocumented. They also found multiple people on the property that were under the age of 21. And those of us who work in industry, that's an absolute red line. You can't have people under the age of 21 on your property. But that's a whole nother story. What we've got here is there was some research done through Freedom of Information Act, and Chris Roberts went looking to find out, did Glass House actually have a labor peace agreement when they renewed 25 licenses early this year? And turns out that the last fully approved and public display of an LPA, they had a labor peace agreement, was with SCATU, the Seafarers Entertainment and Allied Trades Union. As I'm reading that, it just makes me chuckle. It's like, where did you find this? In some chop shop in Chinatown? And where in the fuck did this union come from in the cannabis industry? And as some of you may remember, we had some shell unions signing LPAs, and they really didn't have the ability to be a union. So we've got some hanky-panky being played. And when you renew a license in California, you apparently don't have to provide them with a notarized copy of your LPA. You check off on a form that you have one. Apparently no one checks into it, but it looks like there was some sniffing around, and this last LPA with SCATU expired in October of last year. And there were some interviews done with the head of this union. He said, we're out of the cannabis business. We don't represent these people anymore. So it seems like they didn't renew the LPA. That remains to be actually, ferreted out. But, there's an odor here. It makes you wonder, how in the hell did this happen? And once it's brought to the DCC's attention, what are they going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the raid, Glass House went out and signed up with the Teamsters. The Teamsters have some political pressure and some power here in California. So if I'm a betting man, that was done to give them an argument that, well, we've solved our LPA problem. Well, if you got licenses renewed and you lied on the form, you didn't have an LPA, question is now what happens? And many of us in the industry look at these large players and you scratch your head when it doesn't seem that they're being treated the same as other people. And as I said, they found a bunch of people on this property under the age of 21. Now, for the most of us that are in and around the industry, they roll in and find young people in your property, something bad's liable to be happening to you. Why are there young people in your business? Why are they there? You can get special permission to get them on the property, but none of it was done here. These people fundamentally violated the regulations, and so far, I've seen nothing happen to them. If this one happened and they lied on the form, and the DCC has the forms, and it wasn't true, now is this perjury? Is this grounds for your licenses to be suspended? Are we all going to be treated the same? I mean, we've had Nate on here, and they lost their license for things that you wonder, why do some people get away with things and others don't? And Kyle Kazan, who's apparently got law enforcement history, you just wonder, is someone getting special treatment here? I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody of anything doing yet, but there's enough in this story to give off an odor, and the odor doesn't smell very well. So I would hope that someone would follow up and see, is Glass House really just blatantly violating the rules and expecting to be treated differently? Are they going to have their licenses suspended and have to pay fines? Or is they going to get them revoked? I don't know. I'm going to throw this back at you for your comments, but this kind of makes me, it stinks a lot. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm dealing with a client right now who they're saying they didn't have a labor peace agreement. Well, they also didn't have enough employees to have one, and we've already signed the waiver. So if you're not going to hold Glass House accountable, then you need to hold no one accountable. It's absolute bullshit. I understand the revenue generation that Glass House is for the state. I personally like Kyle. I personally like Graham as people. But I do also want to see them held to a fair standard. It's hard for when I deal with my mom and pop clients who are actually getting fucked right now and are having to appeal their license cancellation, that you push through a bunch of stuff. And I don't know, do I need to do your licensing? Because it's not that hard. Like, you miss such a big step. It's like you almost just don't care. Like, what attorney do you have? Because you should probably, also, errors and omissions insurance, because if your attorney did all these filings and didn't do it, then it should fall back on them as well. But yeah, the Seafarers Union said that they haven't been in cannabis in way longer than Glass House's last labor peace agreement expired. And, I think they're going to try to push the fact that a lot of these were third-party employees, but still doesn't fucking matter. You misclassified them intentionally at that point, which is another violation of California labor law. There are a lot of issues here, and clearly they trigger me because this is what I do.
Well, the courts may help us out here a bit. Okay. The Oregon court threw out the LPA requirement in Oregon because it violates the National Labor Relations Act and federal law preempts. But it's not that simple because it's still against federal law. And when you run to federal court, you're supposed to have unclean hands or clean hands. You're supposed to go in violating, and if you're violating federal law, and traditionally you're not even allowed to get to first base in federal court because your hands aren't clean. You're violating the law, and these are all up in the air. And we will see. I don't know if the Supreme Court's going to want to get involved in this. We have an opinion out of Oregon that threw this in the trash is violating federal law.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
go ahead,
we've
Jenny.
seen another case this year where there was a lawsuit filed against, I believe it was a municipality by a cannabis operator, and that was thrown out as well because of the unclean hands portion of that. So, I mean, this is going to be interesting. Also, isn't the whole point of having unions to protect people from things like, I don't know, child labor?
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that, Jenny Beth, because I'm just wondering that since we imagine that there's going to be a lawsuit between Nate's company, Bill Costa Labs, and the DCC for unjust license revocation. I would imagine that, Dale, that in their litigation, they could throw in the fact that Glass House was raided by a federal agency and had minors on site, which is a clear cause for a revocation of a license, and the fact that the DCC didn't do it. And I think they could use that as a legitimate reason to say that that if they're not going to do that, then they need to give them their license back. And pay them just cause for damages.
Yeah, that's not relevant to the current problems or Glass House.
Why isn't it?
Because we're talking about an LPA and some kids on the premises.
But that's a clear and present violation to have your license revoked, and that's a reason that's written in the DCC's rule book that everybody signs off of saying that your license can be revoked for that reason. And so if they have clearly violated that and their license isn't getting revoked, and the DCC can't say why Bill Costa's license is being revoked or whatnot, I think that's easy in the lawsuit game.
No, the judge would sustain an irrelevancy objection, and you would be stopped.
Really?
Because it's not relevant to Nate's lawsuit. It's just not.
Because he has to prove it on his own merit. He can't be like, look at it, unless you're using case precedent. But this is not a case. It's not another case, so you can't cite it.
I don't know, man. I just feel like
Nate's issue is really different, Jason. And that's unfortunate because Nate's issue is just very different. I'm going to use this in our appeal because absolutely, when some of the things that are on my client's cancellation, which by the way, please don't do what this guy did. Call me before you get a fucking cancellation. It's way harder afterwards. And it's going to cost you more because it's going to cost me more time. But yeah, I think that Nate's case is a bit different. And yeah, this is apples and oranges, Jason. This is testing lab, and they're trying to say that, hey, the basis for what you're saying we did wrong is not something that is a standardized measure, as opposed to something that's very cut and dry that they're just refusing to act on.
I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, possibly, but
it's okay,
I think
Jason,
I still think there's
proud of
something. I still believe that there's something there. I think we could
It makes
possibly.
sense. I just think it can be a judicial action, but I do think, like Jason, to your point, it does highlight the inequities, though, because it highlights how a big company who has the pockets to support a legal case or, grease wheels can do that. But then Jenny Beth is right. Like, mom and pops are hanging on, and this is their life savings they've invested into their small business, and they throw the book at them. It's happening while they're trying to raid hemp stores. It's happening. Even those who are doing with legal operations in California, you guys are getting your ass handed to you at times because of over enforcement. It's like the same story on a different day, and just a gross example of it.
I think it goes beyond just deep pockets with Glass House. I mean, they have direct ties to law enforcement, and they've been able to open doors and close them behind them that other people, even just with money, have been unable to do. And, just playing devil's advocate and being a troll here, seeing that there's so many trolls in the live chat.
Oh, yeah.
They're just proofing their business, right? I mean, tomatoes and every other crop is mostly, grown and harvested by undocumented workers. Nobody's checking their age. They're just getting ready for the future,
Well, it's interesting because I find this amusing. Penny Pebbler Ripplers in the chat says, did they raid this place on Bring Your Kid to Work Day?
We don't have those.
I don't think the kids were probably working the farm.
I do.
My family, I don't know.
I do. I think that they were.
They might.
Otherwise, what was the purpose for them to be there when you have to be 21 and over to get through the gate?
So my family, how we grew up, we were pickers. Some of my older picked for crops, and we're farm kids. We thought it was fun as fuck to go out to the crops and pick. We didn't realize what was happening or how people were being paid or that they were being screwed over. So
Sean,
some of them could very well be employees. I'm just saying.
Sean, to your point. Sean, to your point, California, you know what I mean? On agricultural farms, I believe that in California you can be as young as 12 years old and actually work on a farm. However, a cannabis farm is very different. And Brian Dombrowski in the chat, he threw in, he said, Glasshouse was a guinea pig. The OBBBA has removed the federal protections and the CJS is in limbo. If the CJS is not finalized by September 30th, more raids will happen, he says.
Well, and it's not even just that. When they looked into the children the minors that were on property, the majority of them were nowhere near, their parents and guardians were nowhere near that facility. Mm-hmm. So I think it goes beyond that. And here's where the buck stops. Like, not only can you not work at a cannabis facility, you're not supposed to be on property with your little narrow underage ass.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's in all of the rules right up front. I'm just saying they might not have all been working.
Yep. And still not good. And Anna Lewis, the CEO of Catalyst, says human trafficking is a big problem here, and I totally agree with that. It is a huge, huge, huge problem. And on that, we are going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back, you guys.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't. I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months.
I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me.
We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Guys, we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app,
where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfers, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. as quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
And we are back, you guys. Coming up next, it is Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's playing Casper the Friendly Ghost because today she is slightly invisible, but you can still hear her voice. She's a mom, she's a veteran, and a conflict mitigator, not a litigator. It is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje. And my clap button still isn't working. I don't know what's going on.
Yay.
Yeah, sorry.
Just give me one. I did not want to cough into the mic. Yes, I am a bit under the weather and allergic to the BS, so I'm floating in outer space.
Oh, man.
Bringing you a story from the Midwest. We're going to Nebraska, guys. So swapped out, new Nebraska medical cannabis regs advanced to final approval, drawing public ire. Uh-oh, what did you do, Nebraska? Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission limits cultivator licenses, and they have until October 1 to approve first applications. This is coming from the Nebraska Examiner. The Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission on Tuesday advanced stricter regulations than the board adopted earlier this summer, leaving some advocates feeling more concerned. All 5 commissioners voted to amend the emergency regulations that have been in effect since June 29th, but were set to expire by the end of September. The new regulations, which would still allow the commission to begin licensing registered medical cannabis establishments by a voter-mandated October 1 deadline, so the voters asked for this stuff too, is contingent upon Governor Jim Pillen's approval. He approved the first rules in June. Tuesday was the commission's 4th meeting since June, the first that all commissioners attended. So that's September. So since June, they haven't had a conversation. Their deadline's October 1st. Are they taking that deadline really too seriously?
Mm-hmm.
The revised regulations would, for the first time, set extensive testing and security requirements and establish a, quote, recommending healthcare practitioner directory, quote, for in-state physicians to recommend medical cannabis. If approved, the rules would remain in effect for up to 90 days. Practitioners participating in the program would have to take 10 hours of continuing education on medical cannabis. That's fair, because there's too many pain doctors getting into this and pushing things for money. So continuing education for physicians and complete 2 hours annually to stay in compliance. It's pretty standard in the medical world. Physicians would need to prescribe. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey, because when you're thinking about building or expanding a medical operation, you have to think about how is this prescription actually going to be written and filled, especially if you don't have a strong background in pharmacy operations or being a pharmacist. So now the physicians in Nebraska are going to need to prescribe specific dosages and potency levels. Here's our big red flag. This makes things harder. After that, a patient or caregiver could purchase the recommended medical cannabis amount at a specific dispensary only once every 30 days, controlling how much you can have. Under the regulations, what if you have a really bad flare-up? What if you're having a really bad flare-up? Like I am right now. I'm all flared up because of my Hashimoto's, and cannabis is saving my life at this moment. So
you sound like Elvis Presley when you say that. I'm all flared up. Ooh.
I'm all flared up. It's why I'm a little itchy today, a little grumpy. Under the regulations, patients or caregivers can purchase up to 5 ounces of medical cannabis in a 30-day period. That's a little bit better, which is about 142 grams. But they could purchase no more than 5 grams of Delta 9 THC from the same dispensary within a 90-day period. No more than 5 grams. I can blow through that in 2 days. Delta 9 THC in probably 1 day, actually. Delta 9 THC is the part of cannabis most associated with the high. What is this medical program? So what are all those restrictions for low dose THC? And then if you want actual Delta 9 THC, you can only get a 5 gram limit for 90 days. This makes no sense. They got to stop practicing medicine in the legislature. The amended requirements maintain a statewide limit of no more than 12 medical cannabis dispensaries arranged by judicial district. That would mean one dispensary in each Douglas County, in Douglas County, Lancaster County, Sarpy, Cass counties, and Buffalo Hall counties, according to 2020 census data. The rules would still prohibit dispensaries from selling smoking or vaping products and edibles of any kind. I'm so sorry, Nebraska. This is a terrible program. While the earlier rules would have allowed the sale of non-sugar-coated gelatinous cubes, the revised rules will not. Oral tablets with thin layer flavoring to make products swallowable would now be allowed. We're turning cannabis into pharmaceutical medicine. And I get it because they're medical licensees, but I do think that we need to try a different approach with this plant because clearly our approach to pharmaceutical medicine isn't working, considering we have an opioid epidemic, we have a mental health crisis, have healthcare insurance CEOs getting shot in the streets. I think people are upset, guys. I think we got to change something around here. So I'm going to toss it back. Well, actually, I'm going to get a little bit deeper into why the people are pissed, because the people voted on a ballot measure and then the rules are changing after the fact. That would be frustrating. So Krista Eggers, the executive director of Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana, the nonprofit that led the successful 2024 ballot measure to legalize and regulate medical cannabis, said Tuesday's votes should leave Nebraskans outraged. About 71% of voters in November approved legalization. About 67% created the Medical Cannabis Commission and exclusively vested in it the authority to regulate the drug. Among Eggers' frustrations were the board's decision to limit the number of cultivator licenses and products, as well as manufacturer licenses offered for each. Oh, limited. I think they have it wrong. They are limiting the cultivators and they're limiting the product manufacturers to only 4. The earlier emergency regulations and state law set no limit, which was smart because their market will collapse into the trap with 12, depending on how quickly patients can actually access these systems. I'm only speaking from lived experience since Texas had 3 licensees and they all opened up shop in Austin. 2 of them are defunct and 1 of them is owning 75% of the market share with products that are trash. By approving rules that pile on new barriers and unlawfully restrict forms of cannabis, they are dismantling what people demanded at the ballot box, Eggers said in a statement. This is a direct assault on patients, families, and the democratic process itself. Nebraskans voted for access to medicine. Instead, the commission delivered defiance, obstruction, and betrayal. Ooh, we'll leave it on that. Team?
Nebraska. I mean, did you expect anything less from Nebraska? And all, I mean, this is the same. This is the same government that was pulling people over. Colorado's legalization for just having Colorado plates and searching their vehicle with probable cause for them having weed once they started. I mean, this does not surprise me at all that this commission is doing this. And if you look at the people that were appointed on the commission, they're all from medical type world and restrictive, you know what I'm saying, type of mindset on this. So this does not surprise me at all, and it's very unfortunate for the patients in Nebraska.
It should be like a warning.
What's that, Jenny?
Nebraska never intended on having a cannabis industry, and that's why they're giving a cannabis industry that's not a cannabis industry. That's why they're not actually attending meetings. That's why they're not actually trying to fulfill any of their fucking duties to get this off the ground, because they don't intend to. And so until we stop pretending that this is just they don't know any better and oh my God, they're doing such a bad job regulating this. They're not. They're doing a great job regulating this in the way that they want to, which is a way that makes sure that it never happens.
Preach. It also speaks to how the Steve D'Angelo and Andrew D'Angelo release or have this One Plant Alliance concept that we used here in Texas to describe exactly how markets bottom out into illicit channels when you create these kinds of limitations. And medical operators largely think because they paid a lot of money for a very expensive license and they have the word medical in front of them, that they are not susceptible to the same fallout. And they are so grossly mistaken. Like, it infuriates me for patients because they deserve better research and access, and legitimate players who want to up the game in medical cannabis, not just those who are seeking these monopolized markets that they still will not control, because it will fall apart to legacy operators, especially if you're not going to offer anything that people actually want. This is dumb as dog shit.
Shout out to the trap, I guess, huh, Shaun? But we did get a super chat in from Troy Lawrence who says, tell me the reason. Limit for what? Control and limited medical health access. What happened to the movement for patients, health, fun, and rationale? Couldn't agree with you more, Troy. Couldn't agree with you more on that. Chris, any thoughts?
We don't want these cancer patients to feel too much happiness and joy and euphoria at the end of their lives. God forbid.
Well, I mean,
I know.
It's hard not to be cynical when you're reading this kind of stuff. And, you know, very much like, and Shaun, sorry to interrupt you, but very much like when we read all these battles back and forth with Texas, with you know, just these remaining outlier states. There's only a handful of them now, you know, Nebraska, Iowa, Indiana, Texas, Tennessee, even though Tennessee's got a pretty robust hemp program. But, you know, like Jenny Beth said, this is all kind of by design. This is good old boys club just holding the reins, not wanting to let go at all. And you know, the limits are there purposely to stop you from you know, from not from having too much fun realistically, but from seeking it elsewhere, from them having leverage over you because you're inevitably going to go to the black market.
It's insane though, because like, let's break down, why are they so mad about people getting high? Because what is high? Just experiencing a higher experience quality of life?
Dale, I think you should opine on this, Dale. Tell them why they don't like this.
Well, it goes back to a conservative Christian movement in the late 1800s, went after alcohol, and then they went after opioids, and then went after cocaine, and they pushed to get alcohol outlawed, and they finally got cannabis into the mix in the 1930s. But it's from that same movement that they think that this is going to ruin Western society. We allow people to use these addicting drugs, and they get to decide what all this means. And they really, I mean, I've been in meetings where I've had, you know, and I don't want to be pejorative here, some Bible thumpers jump up and stop an entire meeting just because they didn't like what was being said. Okay. It really goes at the core of their belief system. And I mean, I've had discussions with pastors that came into my office trying to explain to them, this is not about being a drug addict. I mean, they got cancer and they need an antiemetic, things like that. It's very deep in that part of our society. And people have bought into it now, and they use it as an excuse to try and continue to be deliberately ignorant about how to do this, because this is deliberate ignorance. There's a group out there called the Society of Cannabis Clinicians. I was the first general counsel. I'm not really involved in now, but these people know what they're talking about preparations and dosing. And you don't seem to be reaching out to them to come in and let's talk about in our legislature, how do we do this? Because they exist. They're smart. They have medical degrees. They've been doing this for a long time. When you see this sort of deliberate ignorance, Jenny Beth, you're right, they don't want it to work, but it sounded in a conservative Christian movement that got alcohol made illegal, and they still are trying to make anything that's an addictive drug immoral, if you will, a sin. Let you, but you're going to pay sin taxes. And it really has nothing to do with that. It's more mental health. and those other things, but it's been co-opted by this part of our society, and they just do not want to let it go.
Well, they don't even have people hired or figured out to take in the application for people that want to be licensed. So, like, this is not going to happen. I don't even know why we're discussing it right now. Let's talk about it when they actually pass something that they intend on enacting.
Interesting. Well. And on that, I guess we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
And they're trying to maintain that.
And we are back. We are back, you guys. We are going to roll right into Mr. Christopher Vaos. Christopher Vaos is a seasoned cannabis industry professional with over 15 years of experience in commercial cultivation. He has led large-scale indoor greenhouse and outdoor operations across various U.S. markets and specialized in cultivation, optimization, team leadership, and cost-efficient scaling. With a background in engineering and data-driven science-based approach, Christopher consistently delivers strong results in plant health, productivity, and operational efficiency. And just look at his background. You can see the results right there. It is none other than Mr. Christopher Vaos.
I'll preface it by saying weed should taste good.
Yes.
So
weed for the people.
Frenchy Cannoli was big on this shirt.
Yes.
But yeah, today's article I'm bringing to you is from the New York Times, the well-known publication. It's entitled, "What's in the Suitcase? Extra-strength cannabis from California to Britain." In California, the legalization of recreational marijuana has had many consequences, including the boom in boutique dispensaries, the proliferation of edibles, and growing questions around the health effects for some users. Add to the list a more unexpected effect. Far from the industrial greenhouses of Northern California, an illicit export market for so-called Cali weed in Britain, where cannabis remains illegal. California-grown marijuana, which has developed a reputation for potency and high quality, is so popular that it's being smuggled in suitcases from America with minimal attempts to hide it, according to British law enforcement. Officials have intercepted a steady flow of cannabis-filled suitcases loaded onto passenger flights from the United States, with an average of 5 seizures a month in 2025. Doesn't sound like a lot. The drug is often vacuum packed into plastic bags and crammed inside suitcases taken on commercial flights as checked baggage. What we're seeing is Californian weed, which demands a price premium in the UK. Paul Pantry, a senior officer at the National Crime Agency, where he oversees Britain's border security issues, told the New York Times. The different legal position around cannabis has been exploited by criminal gangs who see the dollar signs of the profit margin they can make by bringing that cannabis to the UK, where there's a very big market for it. Is it dollar signs? Wouldn't it be pound signs? Anyway, Andrew D'Angelo, a former dispensary owner in Oakland, California, who we just mentioned earlier, and an industry advisor, said the reason for the demand is obvious. California cannabis is the best cannabis in the world. The plant has been grown for decades in California, and its cultivation accelerated after partial legalization in 1996, Mr. D'Angelo said in a phone interview, with breeders competing to develop new strains. Because of the growing climate here and all the other advances we have with talent and technology, we produce the highest potency cannabis. People want things that are high quality. British dealers are advertising Californian marijuana online at prices far above those of cannabis grown elsewhere. One account on the Telegram messaging app advised Cali weed in Britain offered a menu of 32 strains, listing prices from £200 to $350 per ounce. Which is $472. It's really top grade, the account operator wrote. Our strains are Cali imported and of very good quality. Another Telegram account offered 27 strains of Cali weed for $4.20 an ounce. Get it? Saying they contain a high level of THC or tetrahydrocannabinol, blah, blah, blah. We all know what that is. The increased presence of THC in a form of cannabis known as the skunk in Britain, caused by the government to move the drug from the lowest level of illegal categorization, Class C, to Class B in 2009, citing concerns over the onset of psychotic illness and the increased risk to mental health from the use of stronger cannabis. The possession of cannabis can be punished with a maximum 5-year prison sentence in England, and supplying or importing with up to 14 years imprisonment. Cannabis-based medical products are legal, but only when prescribed by a doctor under strict conditions. Ron Ralphs, a criminology professor at Manchester Metropolitan University in Northern England, works on a publicly funded drug safety project and has been analyzing samples of Cali weed from volunteers and the police. He said that the type of cannabis traditionally sold in Britain had THC levels of 3 to 5%, while skunk is normally found to have 10 to 20%. Cannabis sold as Cali weed has far higher levels of THC. He said up to 40%. Mr. Ralphs first heard young people in Manchester talking about Cali weed in 2018, but he said he did not see it emerge in his own research of drug markets until 2020, by which time it was seen as a premium product and was in high demand. Previously, most young people would just buy standard weed, bud or skunk, from a local dealer, he said. There's nothing like the range of strains and the potency that we see now. Cali weed is commonly sold in brightly colored packets and cartoon-like designs, although he doubts that all sellers are honest about their product's origin. If you're a British dealer and you're doing a home grow in your bedroom or warehouse, you can package it in a bag. It's costing you a few pence and double the profit, he said. U.S. Customs and Border Protection said in a statement that it was enforcing laws that prohibit the export of marijuana using a combination of intelligence, international cooperation, and spot checks on suitcases. An unknown quantity of cannabis is being successfully smuggled into Britain in increasingly brazen ways, Mr. Pantry said. Whereas smugglers would previously try to conceal drugs, officers are now finding suitcases packed full of cannabis in clear bags with no attempts to conceal the drugs beyond an occasional layer of clothing. The article goes on to just, keep talking about all this stuff here. It's no wonder that this is happening. Obviously, cannabis is very cheap in California and in most legal states. So there's an incentive for smugglers to bring it to other places. And, those that have been around this for a while. I mean, I know I've had layovers in the UK and London, and I've gotten shaken down over a vape pen, which wasn't fun. And I personally would not go through that airport with anything on me. But, there's always opportunists out there. What do you guys think?
I mean, there's a lot of money in it for sure. And it's obviously been happening a lot longer than this guy's realizing it, because I was there in, 2019? And there was plenty of Cali weed all over Camden Town. But, yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's what's going to keep happening. And we're seeing a surge in people getting arrested, people getting caught, because Heathrow and Gatwick both issued statements that they were sick of the shit. And so, now they're checking.
Yeah, they definitely check, but I think
it's funny they're blaming it on gangs though, Jason, because it's for surely not. It's regular ass operators that are like, hey, get this over there.
Yeah, it's like part of the business plan, like the underground business plan. The one you don't show
in all fairness, some of those people are gang members. All right, so I understand why they said that, and I think in London still lives in the past in a lot of ways, in a lot of their thinking and a lot of their ideology and verbiage and whatnot, and so for them to say that it's gangs, I mean, I guess anytime you have more than 3 people involved, they can consider that a gang. You know what I mean? Just because you don't have initials or a logo, you know what I mean, doesn't mean you're not a gang.
Yeah.
They're accusing everybody of being in a gang these days. Everybody's in a gang.
Well, that's because they have gang task force, Shaun, and they're able to appropriate different type of allocations of law enforcement against gangs and gang members. And not to mention, when you get charged with different things, you can get higher charges or more time put on once they put on gang enhancements on your charges, on your rap sheet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you are. It's about the money and getting money for enforcement. It's about militarizing local police.
Maybe everyone should that's going to bring this stuff across to the UK. Maybe you should just get a tattoo on their forehead that says, "I am not a gang member." Just saying. Dale, what do you got to say about this, Dale?
Don't break more than one law at a time. And there's a high market value for Cali weed in Europe, marketing over there. The old trope of, we rescheduled it because of all the psychotic problems we're having. It's another one of those tropes about what cannabis causes. It's just incredibly stupid. And they're as dumb there as they are in Nebraska. You know,
Are they really buying zips for $420?
They buy them for more than that too, Sean. Don't get it twisted. And not to mention too, when they sell them, hold on, Sean. When they sell them too, it's not $420. It's 420 pounds. So that's way more than $420.
That's crazy, and I can see why big operators who can maybe do it smartly would do it. And if you're a small guy and you think you can get away with this, I would caution you. Make sure you have the money for the legal team.
You know, this is the thing is like this. You know, it's not really that difficult to get in there. I don't know why all these people want to fly into the airport with it. I could think of probably 3 different ways that are probably better than doing that just to get it there. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy to me, but whatever.
Yeah, people are not as smart as they want us to think they are.
Yeah,
bring it in by boat or something. It's much easier.
To me,
people are just stupid.
To me, the more people
with a bunch of weed in your luggage. Your mama dropped you in your head a lot when you were a kid. What the fuck's wrong with you?
To me, the more people that fly into Heathrow with it, the better, because that keeps all the attention there, Dale.
Unless you're caught with it.
Well. You're missing my point, Dale. You're missing my point. But it's okay.
You know, the massive, the big gangs and trappers or whoever that they're trying to get after, they're not always going through the airport like this unless they're sending disposable mules. So
of course they're sending disposable mules, 100%.
They're not getting any closer to actually cracking the case. It just reminds me of Chief Steve Dye here in Texas, raiding a bunch of hemp businesses, thinking he's really got a big one. In the meantime, the cartels are fucking up the borders. It's like, come on, guys, can we get real? Can we actually go after bad guys and leave people alone?
No, Sean, because that'd be too easy.
New York City, New York City is recreational now, and everybody wanted to land their stuff there back in the day, and now it doesn't have the value of what it had, and people went on to new horizons. And I mean, London's one of the biggest cities in the world. Anywhere you get that many people together, you're going to have demand for anything, illicit, whatever it may be. So, I mean, there's people dumb enough to smuggle weed into Singapore. So, of course, it's in London.
Well,
they'll kill you in Singapore. You got to be careful. People still do it.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. They'll stone you to death over a joint.
Oh, no, they'll put you in a firing squad, bro. They'll line you up and just pow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old school. You know what I mean? Well, speaking of taking things back and whatnot, I have one final story for you guys. I think you may like this. We talked about unions earlier today, Dale, in your story, right? You remember that? Well, I have a union story for you guys coming out of the great state of Pennsylvania. Because higher wages are sought by striking York area medical marijuana dispensary workers, you guys. That's right. Staff members of the Rise Medical Marijuana Dispensary on White Street in West Manchester Township went on strike on Labor Day. It's on Monday, September 1st, seeking a contract that includes salary increases and other improved benefits. And just so you know, Rise Dispensary is owned by Cresco, a multi-state operator. The staffers, members, and Teamsters in Local of 776 organized in July of 2024 and have been negotiating a contract with the company, said Mark Sisiak, regarding this recording secretary and business agent for the local. Sisiak said that members recently unanimously rejected the company's last, best, and final offer and authorized a strike. He said the company's final offer was 3% salary hikes across the board, which equates to 53 cents at the top end of the wage scale and 48 cents at the bottom. He said the salary range at the dispensary is $16 per hour for new hires and $17.65 for employees with 5 years of service. Man, that's not a lot of whatever. Sisiak said all 8 non-management employees are participating in the strike, and representatives of RISE could not be immediately reached for comment. In a quote, we will be out here during our operational hours of this building until either the company comes back or makes us a different offer, Sisiak said, adding the union contends the company has not bargained in good faith, you guys. Well, they're out there striking outside, and there was a little video with this story too that I found super amazing. The workers were all out strike, and the parking lot was empty, and no one was inside the store. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Are we going to see more of this from all these activized, unionized workforce in the cannabis space?
I think just a correction, Jason, you said Cresco Labs. I believe RISE is actually owned by GTI.
You know what? I may have misspoken on that. You might be 100% right on that. I apologize. That's my bad. Thank you, Chris.
But that said, I mean, you know, a lot of cannabis workers, especially on the retail side, get paid the same as fast food workers, and they're working with much higher value product right in front of them. And I think that's unfortunate. And, you know, you have to think of what kind of talent you're attracting at that point also. You know, if you're 19, 22-year-old kid, whatever, you know, and you have the option of going to work at Burger King or a dispensary, you know, once you work at a dispensary for 6 months and you see how badly you're getting treated and your dreams of living the weed life are crushed, you literally have better opportunity working at Burger King, and that's what a lot of corporations have done.
I just feel like, you know, a lot of people want to work at dispensaries because they want to get a discount on their weed, and so I feel like the negotiators on behalf of RISE could have thrown in and say, hey, you know what, we can do this. We can do this now. If Schedule 3 goes into effect and we're able to get 280E removed, then we can go to this, and we'll increase your discount. And then they would have had a formidable offer, but this 58 cents, I'm not, you know, at least make it $1. You know what I mean? It's kind of
enough. I don't think that's enough for people who are underpaid, though. But
this is the thing. Who are you to say that they're underpaid? Because if they're working for that and they signed on for that, they obviously are fine with working at that rate. Shaun?
I think it depends, because there's also a large market of folks who are taking bud tender jobs because they aspire to grow in the cannabis industry. They want to help build businesses that need support. Some of those bud tenders are the only reason some operators are alive, because they're terrible at running a business. So I think you really need to look at your numbers and decide if you're going to take care of your people or not. Otherwise, you should expect unions to form. Like, if the front, and I understand that with as large scale as GTI, they're probably not on that front level in their retail stores, but those bud tenders sell the product for us, and they do a really good job of it. And some of them are very highly educated, and they're trying to build and grow in the industry, and paying them like a fast food worker is not the solution. We can invest.
Well, with 280E and operational expenses of operating a business, Shaun, you know what I mean? It doesn't leave a lot of margin to be able to pay them a higher wage, just speaking as operator. And so those just kind of are, those are entry level jobs, and those are what you get paid on entry level jobs.
Kind of. I mean, I see operators blow through money all the time, very irresponsible in their business. Like, they'll prioritize spending on other things. And I really do fundamentally believe prioritizing in the front face of your retail storefront is a good idea.
Well, there's a lot of turnover there too, and I would prioritize spending more money on training them, and as opposed to spending more money paying them, let them keep their tips. Obviously, thank you, Trump. They're not going to get taxed on those ever again. But I think that there's an issue when you look at, you know, if you go into Macy's and you take a job as a cashier, you're going to get similar pay. You're not going to get $30 a fucking hour, and you can't bleed out just because. Like, I mean, there's obviously a bunch of bud tenders who like to sit there and, you know, take pictures for their Instagram because they just want to be in the cannabis industry, and now this is their identity. So there's a reason why I refuse to fucking run retails anymore, because it's miserable. It's hurting cats. Like, So yeah, we appreciate the bud tenders, but there also are other perks to that job other than just a large amount of pay, because you're not going to get a large amount of pay. That doesn't. No business, no McDonald's is going to be like, hey, you know what? I really love the fact that Gina comes in every morning and makes sure that she gets everybody their coffee really quickly. Let's give her $50 an hour. It's not a feasible business model.
Yeah, exactly.
We
She sells so.
the importance of retail. I mean, not every weed store can be like an Apple store. If you look at liquor stores, most of them are, it's just get what you want. There's one guy behind the counter, get it out of here. Yeah, cannabis we have more regulations, more security that we have to abide by, but that just adds to overhead. It doesn't make the retail experience that much different. People want to just go in and out, and you have one person, a couple people tending to that. I get it if you're in like downtown New York, Manhattan or something, and you have this Apple store, but then you're not selling just a product, you're selling an experience.
Yep.
And that's 90% of dispensaries are not that.
That's fair feedback. And I would be one of those who's more in the 10%, because I just think they're more successful business models, staying middle scale, but being really close to the community. I think you can get to
It doesn't make any sense economically.
Go ahead, Dale.
That's the problem.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense economically. And my grandparents owned liquor stores, and they paid what they were required to pay, because they had to, they had a small margin and they had to run on a small margin. My other grandpa was a Teamster, worked for a big company, and they could afford what the Teamsters required them to pay. What we're talking about here is on the low end of this. And I've sat down with many people that own these businesses. You start doing the math, and you can't write off, employee costs because of 280E. So we move them into a management group, and we try to do as much as we can to get the wages as high as you can. But this industry is just in a turmoil right now. And people overemployed. I mean, that's one of my complaints from the gate here when I meet with people. They want to have a whole bunch of bud tenders because they want to have this great experience. It's like, listen, bitch, if you can't pay your bills, you ain't going to be employing anybody. Okay? You got to be able to pay your bills. And you've got to maintain your employee. I mean, the employer costs are 50% of your overhead? I mean, my God, this is huge. And what we talked about in my story about these LPAs, if you've got 10 employees, you've got to let the unions come in. And for people with small number of employees like that, that's not a big company. Your margins for profit are not very good. And it may seem like it's draconian to tell somebody, I can only afford to pay you $20 an hour. That's all we've got in the budget.
Yep.
But that may be it, or close the doors.
Yep. Exactly. We'll find someone else that'll be willing to work for it.
But Anna is saying Catalyst has the lowest turnover, and they do invest in their people. They like, I love it. Thank you, Anna, for the backup from a big dispo perspective. And California, and I hear y'all are right. My experience is more boutique. It's right for going big and going broke. But not right if you want to build a boutique niche market and capture a really loyal audience.
Shout out to Catalyst, but not everybody can fill that niche. You're going to have your Five Guys and your high-end burger places, and you're going to have your McDonald's and Burger King, and someone's got to fill it. And we are talking about GTI here, and I've lived in PA, and most people in PA in the Philly metro just drive to Jersey and buy their weed for less taxes for much cheaper. So they don't even want to deal with the PA dispensaries.
Yeah, fair points. And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai are somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.